Hi you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Made Podcast. I'm your host, Chloe Trca, and it's the holidays, believe it or not. I just recently, if you're new here, moved to Arizona, so I'm having like a weird transition with realizing that it's the holidays. It doesn't feel like the holidays to me, unfortunately, but I am going back home to Iowa today, so maybe it'll feel more like Thanksgiving, but I'm recording this on Tuesday. Thanksgiving is Thursday. You guys will be hearing this if you're listening the day it launches, Monday. So a little bit after Thanksgiving, but it's still the holiday season. We're in full-blown holiday mode now. Christmas is coming up, New Year's is coming up. Lots of it's just a season of gatherings and family functions and travel, a lot of travel and just kind of chaos, but a beautiful chaos with traveling and being with your family. And I feel like a lot of stress can also though be created in this time, especially if you're a wellness or fitness person. A lot of you listeners like myself and past Chloe, this used to be overwhelming just because it was a lot of Friendsgivings, and then you have your family Thanksgiving, and then you have just so many extra big dinner events, and you're traveling and your routines are just a bit different, and it can be stressful because people are always scared to I don't know, I say in air quotes gain weight over the holidays or get off track, and then everyone goes full-blown crazy mode for the New Year's. But I think that's just so, it makes me mad because I feel like people just kind of let loose in the holidays and then they go crazy restrictive once New Year's Day hits, and I just don't think that's the right approach to take with it. Take it from me, I've been there, I've done that, and now I'm in a very healthy position with my relationship with fitness, with food, with balance, and just everything. So I want to use this episode just to kind of share some tips and tricks and just give you guys advice on ways to kind of get through the holidays with a healthy mindset and approach to be able to still enjoy the holidays. Because trust me, I am gonna eat my Thanksgiving dinner, I'm gonna eat all the treats, I want to be able to go to those friendly gatherings or just all the extra things that necessarily we don't always do, in the other times of the year. I want to still enjoy that, but also still be working towards my goals, and it's doable, it's manageable, and it's not a this or that, it's not an all or nothing approach. And I just think that's so, I see why people do that because I literally did it myself, but it's just not the healthy approach to go. So here are my tips. The first one is very I would say simple and basic, and you've probably heard about it, but don't create the stress just because it's oh, it's the holidays and you feel you need to be stressed out. Don't just create it. Just keep going about your day. I feel the best thing you can do is, and this is my number 2, is just to continue your normal routine as much as you can. And I feel if we just kind of take away that stereotypical oh, it's the holidays, pack on the pounds and whatever, and just go crazy, take that narrative away from it and just be oh, it's just a season of enjoyment and family time and good food. But you can still do that. It's just all about control with it. And I think the best way to kind of have a healthy control mindset around all of that is to not restrict. Don't restrict your food the day before a Thanksgiving meal, or I'm just gonna use Thanksgiving as a reference because it's Thanksgiving this week. But don't feel you need to restrict meals before Thanksgiving or the day after because you had a big meal. One thing I can promise you is one big meal isn't gonna derail you off of your goals. Your body's gonna bounce back into its normalness, the normal feelings. I don't weigh myself, so but if you do, it's really not gonna make a big of a difference. The thing that's gonna impact you in a negative way is when you're switching everything, you're under eating, and then you're really gonna overeat on Thanksgiving, so it's you're starving, or the next day you're gonna under eat to in air quotes make up for the meal that you ate. That's just not healthy. That's what's gonna actually make the biggest impact in a negative way. That's gonna just derail you down a whole another path that's just not gonna help you. So just stay as on routine and normal as possible. Eat your same meals or eat the same way that you normally do the day before Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving, you can enjoy the snacks and the treats or whatever you eat on Thanksgiving. Do that as normal. Have your breakfast as normal. Go to your lunch, have a good lunch, but you don't need to feel, I feel when you don't eat breakfast on Thanksgiving, you're so ravenous when you show up for my family always does Thanksgiving lunches, but then I would show up and I'm so starving because I hadn't eaten breakfast, and then I eat so much for lunch, I'm sick. It's if I just would allow myself to enjoy the meal and eat a normal portion, which I get we all probably do tend to overeat on Thanksgiving, and that's okay, but there's a limit between like eating until you're like literally sick, you know. I feel like you just have a better mindset with the meal if you just have your breakfast, have your big meal for lunch, and then again like have dinner later on. Or like I feel like my family, we always like have leftovers, you know, like we'll make like turkey sandwiches with like the rolls and the extra turkey, and then I'll have a little bit more of like my favorite sides, you know. But it's like, don't feel like you need to restrict every other meal that day. And then the next day, like the day after Thanksgiving or holiday or whatever event, meal, gathering you have, like don't feel like you need to undereat to like make up for like the big meal you had. The best thing you can do, I promise you, is just get right back on track. Eat your normal stuff. Like I'll eat my protein cream of rice. I'll have my go-to lunch. Like I just have my go-to meals I typically eat, and it's just going to continue. Like you're just going to keep tracking on like towards your goals, because whatever you're doing now is obviously like, I feel like you've created habits and routines to work towards your goals. So just keep carrying those on. And the same goes for exercise. Don't feel like you need to overtrain and train so hard the day before or the day of or the day after to like compensate for the extra calories you may have eaten. Like that's just not healthy. And again, it's not building a healthy mindset with training. Like use exercise as enjoyment. I do think it's great because when you have those big meals, you're going to feel great in the gym if you lift, or even if you run, you're going to have a lot of extra like carbs in your body, and you're probably going to have a really good workout the following day. So yeah, use that to your advantage. Like enjoy the little wins you can get with this, but like don't feel like you need to go and do like 2 hours of cardio because you had a Thanksgiving dinner the day before. Like that's just not a healthy mindset to have, and that's doing you no good. So just continue on your normal split, your normal routine. And don't feel like you need to wake up on Thanksgiving morning and go run a bunch of miles to like compensate for the meal, like the turkey trot. Like do the turkey trot because it's fun and it's like a community activity you can do with your friends and your family. Don't do it as a form of like punishment for what's to come. I really want to preface, like, continue your normalness as much as you possibly can, and don't completely, like with the holidays too, like don't just like completely cut out your training because you're traveling or something. Still, like I said, you still have to like stay routine if you want to work towards your goals. Like you still need to be training and be running and doing whatever you're like. For me, like I'm going home for the holidays, like I said, but I'm still going to be like following my normal split. I'm not going to be over stressing about it, but like I do have a half marathon coming up I need to train for. So I feel like sometimes people just kind of give up and they're just like, oh, it's too much. Like you can make it work. I feel like there's a healthy way to like find balance, and you do have to have some sort of discipline. But again, it's like if you just continue your normalness, it's not that hard. Like you'll make it work and do whatever, but it's like don't create like a stress that's not already there. But just, yeah, continue normalness. That's the best thing you can do. I think it's how you'll continue to reach your goals and continue like a healthy mindset and relationship throughout the holidays. And like I said, understand like one day or a few days of the year in the grand scheme of things, really it means nothing. Like you may not feel the best, or you may feel even better because you have more energy in you. It's like, yeah, like it's out of your norm to like eat a Thanksgiving dinner, but it's like, I promise you that one day isn't gonna make that big. It literally will not make that big of a difference. So just like, don't create the stress that's not needed. Like just enjoy it and be present and appreciate the food and have gratitude that like you have this beautiful meal with your family and friends and whatever, and then just move on. Like it's just simply like, it's not as deep as I think we can like create it in our minds. And then number 4, this is just kind of like general based for like the holidays and stuff, but I feel like it's very common to be drinking more during the holidays and like going out. Like I know a big thing I guess I've realized since like being a college graduate, and a lot of my like high school friends, hometown friends, like we all come back and Blackout Wednesday is like a thing. But like I think it's, I don't really drink. I don't say I'm sober because like I do on a rare occasion, but like 95% of my life I don't drink. But I just think it's like during the holidays I feel like there's a lot more opportunity for like those kind of things. Like don't restrict yourself and like don't be like, oh, I can't go out, like it's against my goals, but just like have a healthy, balanced like control over it, you know. Like don't go out and like have all these like sugary gross drinks that are gonna make you probably feel sick and icky. But it's like you can go out and have a few drinks with your friends, like have a glass of wine at dinner. Like it's not necessarily bad, but it's like you can do it in a better approach that will make you feel better and help you kind of like stick to your goals. Like I don't know, I feel like my best advice is either mocktails if you don't drink, because like I'll probably go out on Blackout Wednesday just to like see my friends, but I'm probably gonna order a Diet Coke. Like, that's just how I am, and that's just how I choose personally to live. But like, me and drinking, it's not really based on my physique goals. Like, that is one of the reasons I choose not to drink, because like it's kind of hard to reach your goals when you're binge drinking every weekend. Like, that's not gonna help you reach your goals. But like, I have a lot of other reasons. I have a whole episode on that if you want to listen to it. But like, it's okay if you want to go out and like have a few drinks with your friends on Blackout Wednesday, or have a glass of wine, like I said, but it's like, do it in a better approach. Like, don't have like these like loaded sugar drinks and have a bunch of them. Like, don't be like, I don't like the mindset of like, oh, it's the holidays, like who cares? Like, enjoy it, have one glass, but don't have like 6 of like the super sugary drinks, just because it's like, I feel like that applies for any time of the year, but it's like you just have to have that like portion control and self-control with those things. But again, I feel like it's easier to have self-control and discipline when it comes to that when you live a balanced life and you don't restrict it all the time. Because it's like, obviously if you're completely restricting from something and you finally like give in to like that craving, you're gonna want to go ham, because it's like, oh my gosh, it's just like genetically how we're wired. We're gonna be like, when are we gonna get this again? And we're just gonna keep going and going and going, and that's just not healthy. So again, with the drinking, like, it's all about balance and control, and like, there's just a better way to do it and go about it. But I don't think the best way to do it is just completely like, nope, I'm not drinking for the holidays. Like, enjoy it, do what's normal. I just think continuing your normalness is the best thing you can do throughout these like not so normal like times of the year. I hope that made sense. And then number 5, this is just a tip. I was kind of like researching online tips that like help, and they say like eating earlier makes you feel better, and I like, that really resonated with me, because that's actually something I've began to implement into my life. I try to eat dinner earlier in the day now. I think I talked about this on one of my previous episodes, but like digestion, like, it just, if I was eating too late at night, like past like 8 p.m, like I would wake up and I would really retain water. Like, I'm really sensitive to that. I think specifically just my body is, like, I'll be super swollen if I eat late. And it's also too, like, I just like hate that feeling, but then your food doesn't fully digest in time, and like, it keeps me awake. Like, it's harder to fall asleep, because it's like, I have all these calories and all this energy in my body that wants to be like exerted. Like, food is fuel, so imagine like giving yourself all this fuel right before you're trying to like rest and sleep. So I think eating earlier just like helps me have a better night's sleep, and I just feel better. And with that too, I think another thing that really helps with like digestion and makes you feel better is like after your meals, literally going on a walk. This is also another like thing that I don't do it as much, but I used to when I was back in Iowa living in my apartment. But like after my dinner, I would go on like a little hot girl walk, and it just like helped get your digestion going, and I felt better doing that. And it also too, I feel like everyone, like when you overeat, you're really tired, and I feel like a walk kind of like wakes you up and gets the blood flowing, so it doesn't make you like so sluggish and lethargic throughout the day. Because I feel like it's kind of funny, but like on Thanksgiving, I feel like I'm always like so exhausted after my meal. Our whole family just like sits and we watch football, we chat, we play games, but like half the men are napping. And it's like, if we would just like go on a walk and get fresh air as a family, I feel like that could be a good little thing to start doing, just because it does make you feel better. And then number 6 is just like keep prioritizing your hydration and your water. Like, don't forget about all those like little things that do make you feel good throughout the day, because like obviously if you're eating out of like your normal routine and then you're like all of a sudden not drinking a lot of water or moving your body, it's like you're gonna feel like, obviously you're gonna feel kind of cruddy. So just like remember those little things that you do on a normal day, and it will just like help you feel better and have more energy. And just stay realistic. Number 7, stay realistic. Like I said, like don't go in with these like this mindset like, oh, I can't do this, or oh my god, I need to go out every single night when I'm home with all my friends. Like, that's really not realistic, and that's really not like a healthy approach. So it's just like, there's just a fine line of balance, and it's like, I want you guys to enjoy your life. Like I enjoy mine, and you just have to be realistic about it. Like, have like a mindset of like, I don't know, it's really just like stepping away from that like restrictive mindset and just being more real with yourself and honest with yourself, and be like, okay, like how can I kind of like approach this in the best way possible for me, and just like know your tendencies and know your habits and stuff, and be able to like control those if you know that they're not gonna like help. Like if you tend to like skip breakfast on Thanksgiving, like don't do that. Like make sure you eat your breakfast for Thanksgiving, because one, it's just healthy to like eat breakfast, and then two, it's gonna help you like going into that Thanksgiving meal, like I said, just feel more like balanced and controlled and not as like literally ravenous. And then number 8, I guess I kind of already touched on this, but like don't restrict certain things. Don't be like no alcohol or no desserts, no pie, no extra stuffing. Like, I don't know, like don't make these like weird rules for like a meal necessarily. Like, be real, be realistic, just have the control. And I think, like I said, I get self-control isn't easy. It's something I'm working on myself, but the best way to have self-control is to not restrict and to not create those rules in your mind and just go about life normally. Like, I know it's easier said than done, but like it's really, it's simple. I think we just can overcomplicate it and like create this like whole like whirlwind in our head that we can get like really overwhelmed and like stressed out because of it. And then number 9, prioritize your sleep. This was huge. I actually heard this on Jay Shetty's podcast, but he was saying how when you don't prioritize sleep, obviously you're gonna be more tired. Like, that's just a given. And when you're more tired, you begin to lose energy quickly and you just feel like you have no energy. And oftentimes when we lose energy, we lose our self-control. And I was like, that is so true, because when you're tired too, like tasks just feel longer and more difficult. And when you're sleepy, everything is just, it's more of a big ordeal. So it's like, prioritize your sleep, because when you're energized and you feel good, it's easier to have those like, have that self-control, and you're just like a better version of you. You have more energy, and I feel like you're ready to like attack the day and get everything done, and it just like kind of sets you up to be more successful. So I guess really just like over the holidays and stuff, because like I said, traveling is crazy, and like there's just like crazy fun like nights and long nights and whatever. Just like really prioritize your sleep as much as you can, just because it's so important, and you truly will be like a better version of yourself when you're well rested. Like, yeah, those are all like, I guess, the tips that I have. And what I really want to preface though is like, by no means do I want any of you to go into like the holidays more stressed out and like anxious and overwhelmed because you think you're gonna like offset your goals. Like, I promise you, the holidays are supposed to be a time of enjoyment and a time of like happiness, and to have those fun desserts, but like just don't make it like such a restrictive thing where you can't have these any other time of the year, or you can't have this because you had pumpkin pie yesterday. Like, that's just, it's a really hard time, and I totally get it, and it can be overwhelming, but it's like the best thing you can do is just to continue to live your life as normally as possible, and to enjoy those things, and just have like a sense of control, and like know your tendencies and do what you can to like set yourself up to succeed. But really, like, how I'm going throughout the holidays is just doing my normalness, doing my thing. Like, I'm gonna work out and run as normal. I'm gonna enjoy the food. I'm gonna have my breakfast. I'm gonna eat my normal breakfast the day after the holidays, the day before, the day of. Like, just be as routine and normal as you can, and it really won't create as much like stress as I think if you have done those things in the past as it did in the past. But I hope this helped. I love you guys, and I'm just so grateful this year to have you guys here, because you guys, I don't know, this is things like, it's Thanksgiving. I want to give thanks. I want to be very like, I want you guys to know how much I appreciate you, and like all the love and the support every single week, all the messages, all of like the DMs, and being able to connect with you. That's why I truly love this podcast, because like I feel like I can be so one-on-one with you guys, and I feel like, I don't know, the community that like I have on my podcast is just like so special to my heart, because I'm very vulnerable in here. I'm very real, and I really don't script things out. I'm just kind of honest and blunt. But I want to like, I like using this as a platform to like explain the things I struggle with, and like how I've learned and how I've gotten through them. But like I said, I'm still on my journey too, and I'm still figuring things out, so it's cool to have you guys like along my side going through everything. It's just a really, really cool thing. So anyway, I hope you guys have such a blessed, lovely, happy holiday season with no stress, and just enjoy it. Be present, be grateful, enjoy all the good food, move your body as you see fit, as you normally would. Don't overdo it, and then don't just completely cut it out, because that's not going to make you feel probably great either, and I want you guys to feel your best. But yeah, I love you guys so much, and we will chat next week. Bye guys.